Hey, it's Sam. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, I help real estate agents improve their systems so they can close more deals, get more time with the family, and actually have a business they enjoy. So today we're going to talk about, should you hire a VA? Don't hire a VA until you watch this video. See, hiring a VA can create complexity until you build the right foundations. And in a period with AI and systems, adding complexity will actually add more hires, create more work for you as a founder or salesperson, and more management for you, and eventually actually make you the bottleneck. And when you think about a bottleneck, what it means is that everything relies on you. Everything relies on your answers, everything relies on your time. And so as a founder and in a real estate business, if you're putting out constantly other fires, now you have another person to manage. And we'll talk about that in this video, what the challenges can be with having a VA and how can you overcome this. Now, after 12 years experience in the real estate business and experience and actually hired multiple VAs, VA companies, agencies, hirings, trainings, you name it, I've been through it all. And when it comes to even a hiring agency, there was a lot of endless interviews, led to months of training, constantly updating procedure manuals and finding out what works and what doesn't, and constantly being pulled back into the day-to-day that you're actually trying to escape from. So if you thought about getting leverage in your business as a real estate agent and you're not sure where to start, this is a great video probably for you, especially pulling from some experience of what I've learned of to do and what not to do in the business. Now, hiring a VA means that you have to manage lots of things. You have to update SOPs or playbooks. You have to continuously provide training for them, and you have to onboard them, and you also have to go through a learning curve. Now, as a real estate agent, there's an opportunity cost, and what I mean by that is every task that you're doing that's not related to negotiating contracts, talking to bottom of funnel prospects that are ready to transact, showing homes, or actually making offers or negotiating offers on a listing is costing you money. So you think about the opportunity cost. If you make $200,000 a year and you divide that by 200, which is the buyback formula, or 2,000 hours, you're going to look at your hourly rate. Now remember though, is that if you are working on those tasks that are actually 10 or 11 or $12 tasks, you have limited time and capacity. And if you're helping a VA understand those tasks and you're not automating that process, you're going to continuously fix things, remove roadblocks, update SOPs that become outdated. And especially with the advent of AI, it's going to be even trickier for you to stay on top of things and to support your VA. Now, sure, you can have a workflow agent that can support the VA and answer questions from a knowledge base, but you got to update the knowledge base and you got to train your VA how to do that. And your VA may be limited in their English skills and they may be having some challenges in keeping that updated and knowing a copy of your brain. You want a copy of yourself to actually deploy so then you can get things done as if you're in multiple areas at once. Now, don't get me wrong, a VA does have a good place and having an admin also does. But again, if you're getting started as a single agent, you probably want to find ways that you can delegate those tasks easier by using a simple automation and a system. So that way, if you have an automation, I'll give you some examples in a second, that's constantly doing things the exact same way. If a rule happens, this happens. There's no taking time off in the middle of the day. There's no putting fires out after 5 o'clock and things don't get done. Things get done automatically. They don't take vacations, and it's a lot more cost effective. And in a world where we actually are your business is becoming the quality of your prompts through AI, and you're becoming a director. If you're not becoming a director, then you're going to be replaced by another director. And what I mean by that is that you should be able to use automations in your systems to do things for you as doers, and you're going to be the director, meaning that you're going to be able to create the flow of how things happen in your business. And that's also going to eliminate the thought process of having to work harder to get things done. Because, for instance, if you have an automation with social media being posted, replies to comments automatically, that's going to save you tons of time monitoring comments, replying to comments, and maybe even messaging that person. Now, how does this actually help you in your single real estate business? Well, back when, years ago, even 6, 7, 8 years ago when AI wasn't really a thing, you had to have multiple admins, multiple people, VAs, ISAs, inside sales agents. That can all be replaced now with one director, I should say, and the right systems. Now, instead of just chasing leads, scoring leads, and figuring out who's next, I remember in my day, not really in my day, but a couple of years ago when I started as well, I had to constantly update the leads. I had to add the notes. I had to score the leads. I had to do the research on the leads to figure out when they're actually going to transact, and then make a rule around that, and then figure out my calendar where that's going to happen. Well, nowadays, if you have the right system and you have an AI agent that's maybe even nurturing and scoring these leads and sending messages that engage with that prospect based on notes, you're not going to have to really do that. You're going to be able to actually figure out and focus on the bottom of funnel activities, which you think of your sales funnel. As it gets closer down, those are the ones that are more likely to transact. There's an actual reason, there's a timeline, and there's actually a purpose for them to do something. So again, going through all the manual work, all the painful things, luckily as an agent, if you're not doing these things in your business, you're either going to be replaced by someone who is doing those things. And one thing I do want to bring up is content, okay? So leverage is being able to do something to get more output for less input. And so for instance, when I think of leverage, I think of content, I think of code, and I know Dan Martell talks about that. But let's dig a little bit deeper. Well, code is actually also no code. It could be things like automations. It could be an AI agent, or even an automation that happens, or a rule, or a decision-making tree. These things are all really important because they're going to allow you as in your business to work smarter, to increase your output, to make less decisions, and to know that things are getting done. Now, in a previous video, I told you that we're offering training in our real estate CRM, but we actually wanted to also import them to our training, and I didn't want to have to create a spreadsheet, write an SOP, and do all those things. An SOP is a standard operating procedure. So what we did was we actually figured out a way to automate that process by adding a tag and automatically getting them into an automation to create and give them access to the free training. So you want to ask yourself, what are things that can be streamlined in my system first before you look at hiring someone? And coming firsthand and hiring some great companies and great coaches, I've learned some things that worked and things I could probably change. And one of those things is, yes, you could have a checklist for your VA to follow every day. You could find out if they've done it. You can see if they've actually completed it. And that's all well and dandy, and that's great. But taking it a step further is having the automations in place and knowing those things are running in the background. It's like constant factories watching for triggers to actually generate a workflow and complete that. And this goes beyond the transaction process when a client signs a new listing. That is obviously an easy, low-hanging fruit to automate, and a lot of agents don't even do that. That creates predictability in your business and allows you to get referrals, but I'm also talking about other simple things, such as the other example, like social media. So what's the lesson here? Well, the lesson here, in my opinion, is if you're not using leverage like code or even automations, you don't have to be a coder, but you are going to have to learn how to use these systems, or you will be replaced by someone who is using these systems. And it's not a coincidence that people are starting to get interested in this because there is tremendous power in it. And again, as a real estate agent, you want to work smarter and you want to work more bottom of funnel, because otherwise you're going to be chasing those top of funnel leads and completely burning out, wasting a lot of time, and feeling like you really got nothing done, and your pipeline shows for it. So if you want to know a little bit more about how we work, you want to understand how we can automate your business from start to finish, including AI receptionist, AI follow-up agent, as well as helping you convert more leads and deals, I want you to stay to the channel. You can subscribe, you can share the video. Also, we have a training on this channel as well. And if you are interested in learning a little bit more about how we can implement this in your business, I'm going to leave a link for you to comment and book a call with me as well. Thanks so much. Talk soon.